If you're interested in learning the lessons that I learned after my 6 years of an eating disorder that destroyed so many valuable areas of my life, then keep listening. Because by the end of this video, you will have the complete and vulnerable truth when it comes to the things that I wish that I knew early on throughout my journey. So if you're ready to open your mind and your heart up to these intimate types of videos and these intimate chats, plus so much more about mindset transformation, healing your body with your thoughts and healing your body with your thoughts and healing your relationship with your body and with food, then I would love for you to join my close-knit family of subscribers so that you can feel helped, you can feel heard, and you can start truly creating the happiness that you want and you desire. And with that, let's dive in. The first lesson I learned from having an eating disorder was that you can't hate your way into loving yourself. That's a loaded lesson, I know. So let me start by giving you an example. No one ever decided to starve themselves because they just woke up one day and decided, oh, you know what? Today's a good day to hurt myself. No. In most cases, when we take some sort of action within our lives, it is coming from a place of love and a place of truly wanting the best for ourselves. I learned this lesson through devouring Tony Robbins videos online when I was in the midst of learning so much and just empowering my brain with knowledge that I could use to leverage myself in overcoming my eating disorder. I wanted to understand human psychology and understand why we do the things that we do. And I'll share with you an example that he used in his video. Now, I'm not going to quote word for word because I frankly don't remember, but it was something like this. In his example, he uses somebody who is addicted to cigarettes. He says something along the lines of, nobody just decides that they're going to shove a pack of cigarettes down their throat because they simply want to die. The intent that that person is smoking could have been coming from a place of just wanting to ease their stress or calm their mind or find that peace. And somewhere along the lines, they got lost in a downward spiral of smoking and not being able to stop because the habit had already been ingrained. Does that make sense? His or her intent was one that would allow them a greater peace of mind, yet it spiraled into that uncontrollable habit that formed into an addiction. The same goes for my bulimia. I can say with integrity that a huge reason for my bulimia was because of all of the insecurities that I faced and truly not feeling like I belonged in any crowd growing up. And I don't say that lightly, because I hear people saying around the internet all the time that they never felt like they fit in or they were an outcast. And I'm not saying at all that that isn't true, because it probably is true. And I feel very heavy in my heart for people who experienced that, because it's so true to me. But when I say I didn't fit in, it's coming from a deep emptiness in my heart and an overbearing feeling of embarrassment and shame nearly every day when I went to school. I was always fearful of saying the wrong thing, yet I would have done anything to be a part of something. I wanted to feel wanted, but rarely ever did. When I began binging and purging, it was genuinely because I thought that if I could look a certain way or get the body of my dreams or an ideal thin, skinny person, model, whatever, then I would have friends and people would come rushing to me and I would feel less insecure and more confident. And I'm sure from an outsider's perspective, you can see the disconnect here. Yet from my perspective, it was simply a lack of knowledge, because no one talks about this stuff. It seems to be such a taboo topic, so many of us are left not having the resources that we need to be able to learn the tools and strategies that are going to allow us to feel empowered and confident growing up. And that brings me to my next lesson. Knowledge is necessary, but understand that not every piece of knowledge is true or designed for you. What do I mean by this? I think the very obvious part of this, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that we all know that not everything we read on the internet is true. So I'm not going to talk about that. What I do want to talk about is the fact that there are very, very credible people out on the internet publishing books, sharing content, and sharing information. Doctors, therapists, psychiatrists, you name it. And have you ever wondered how they all seem to have conflicting facts about what is true and isn't true? How can that be true? I mean, facts are supposed to be right, right? Facts are supposed to be the truth. So how can they all be right? Well, here's the thing. They are all right. If it's a fact, it's a fact. Carbs are necessary for the body because XYZ. Fact. Healthy fats are necessary for the body because XYZ. Fact. High carb, low fat diets can be great. Fact. High fat, low carb diets can be great. Fact. Where I personally see the issue lie here is when the people that are sharing this information are usually taking a biased standpoint based on what works for them or what they've seen throughout their practice with some or a majority of their clientele. And what isn't talked about when it comes to these diets is that it might not work for you. There's not many books out there that are promoting one diet that say, we are all uniquely individual and this diet might not work for you. They're simply sharing why that diet is the best diet. Does that make sense? This can leave us feeling very vulnerable and believing that everything we read on the internet is true and true for us, which is not true. Yes, a high carb diet might work amazing for your genetic makeup and your unique body. And maybe you do need to take it easier on the fat, or vice versa. But it's up to you to take the information that you learn and play around with it within your own lifestyle to see what does work for you best. For me, I thrive off of eating potatoes and I thrive off of eating fruit. But you would be surprised at how many people tell me fruit's bad for you, potatoes are bad for you, etc., etc. This is simply not true when speaking on such a broad topic. Maybe fruit doesn't work in higher quantities for your body. Maybe a large amount of potatoes doesn't work for your body. But no single person is in a position on this earth to give everybody the exact same advice and following the exact same guidelines. This is a huge topic of discussion for me and my clients because oftentimes they want the answer and they want it now. But the truth is, finding a system that works for your body is going to vary vastly depending on the individual and their lifestyle and their genetic makeup. So although I can provide them with an amazing foundation to start with, after that, it's up to trial and error and experimentation. But I will say that the process can actually be very fun with the right support system. I'm going to throw in a shameless plug here really quick and say that if you are resonating with any of this information, and you are ready to finally figure out what works best for you and know what steps you need to take to get there, I'm offering free mindset to action strategy calls for all of you tuning into this video for the next week. This is normally priced at $97, but I'm so passionate about this information and happy to share it with you so that you can find the game plan that's going to allow you to achieve those sustainable long-term results. If you're ready to identify what's holding you back and know what to do moving forward, then check out the link down below in the description or somewhere along the way up here, and I look forward to chatting with you and giving you a safe space to open up and talk. Fourth lesson I learned, when you're interested, you'll do what's convenient. When you're committed, you'll do what it takes. I forget who originally said this quote, but if you know and you've heard it before, let me know down below. Now, this quote resonates with me so deeply because when I was struggling with my eating disorder, I found that there were constant times when I was thinking ahead into my future and almost mapping out how my disorder would play out into my future. I found myself thinking toxic thoughts like, at least I can eat whatever I want throughout my life because it's not going to stay in my system anyways. Sure, I didn't want to live with my eating disorder, but I had no idea that it was actually possible to overcoming it. So naturally, in the back of my mind, I had already shut down thinking that I was ever capable of truly doing it, so I was already planning ahead for what it would be like had I not. And I'm not going to sit here and tell anybody who's struggling that if I can do it, you can do it, because the truth is, you don't know me. Well, most likely. And I know from experience that it's hard not to put people on a pedestal who have the life or have begun to create the life that you're striving for right now, even if it is entirely possible for you to create that life. It's hard to hear somebody speaking from a point of, I've been through this, I've done this, and not put them on that pedestal. It's easy to separate yourself from them and create that gap to where they almost seem unreachable. So rather than sharing with you just a simple line of encouragement, my goal is to give you the step-by-step plan throughout the course of my videos and all of the content that I share online. So it doesn't matter if I tell you that, you will see it. You will begin to see and feel the transformations in your own life, and you'll see for yourself what is possible. Your results will speak for themselves. However, if you do notice that you're subconsciously or consciously giving up on yourself, that's not commitment. That's interest. Commitment is not giving up on yourself, even when you're damn near about to, because life can be challenging. Commitment is actively choosing to stop dieting or spending your valuable energy trying to find the next quick fix. Which, by the way, unless you make the conscious decision to stop dieting, you will never heal your relationship with food and with your body. And I firmly believe that. Should somebody find one person that counteracts that statement, give me their contact information down below, please. You have to decide that you are going to stop dieting and falling victim to diet culture. I'm talking about long-term approaches that are going to make you happy in a long run, not for 3 weeks. Number 5, people are way less worried about you than you think. Let me bring this back to my past. Every time I went out with friends, or heck, even went to school, I was so concerned that everybody was staring at me and seeing my flaws and worried about what I was doing. It wasn't until many years later that I discovered that I am not that special. And in the nicest way possible, you are not that special. I say this because we are so focused on what other people think about us. But have you ever thought for a moment that your peers are just as concerned about what they're doing in their own life, that they're not even worried about what you're doing or not worried about what you think they're worried about? If opening up about our insecurities and the things that we struggle with wasn't such a weird and taboo topic, then maybe we might all be able to understand that we all have insecurities. And unfortunately, we are all more worried about ourselves and our own. Friends, I am so passionate about this because no matter what gender you are, age, ethnicity, whatever, no one deserves to feel like an outcast, and no one deserves to feel isolated by their insecurities, and no one deserves to feel the pain associated with that, whether self-inflicted or not. Number 6, you are but the product of all your past experiences. I want to read an excerpt to you from my 21-day ebook, 21 Days to Quiet Your Inner Bully. If you're interested in checking it out, it's free on my website, thegoldlife.net, and I will leave the link below for you guys. I'm going to be reading it off of my laptop because I don't know it word for word, so here we go. But I think it's really important, and I think you guys will resonate with it a lot. We've all heard someone say, "I've always been this way," or "That's just the way I am." Well, this is simply not true. We are not born with any beliefs, values, or opinions. These are all things that have been learned, whether through another person or through our experiences. So if there's a quality that you do not like about yourself or that does not serve you, only you have the power to change that through learning new ways, developing new habits, and ultimately retraining your brain to think more positively. I believe that only when you dive deep into your roots and bring forth the true reason as to why something is the way it is, can you progress in the most effective and meaningful way possible. When we are hurt by any given situation in the past and or present moment, it is because of the beliefs we have developed around the circumstance. Read that again and again, or in this case, listen. Let me explain. If you, for example, were told by a teacher that your work wasn't good enough in a classroom setting, you might have formed the belief that you are not good enough or that the things you do are not good enough. And although it seems very minor, you hold that negative energy with you for years and maybe even a lifetime if not properly dealt with. This may be that distinguishing trait that you simply address by saying, "That's just how I am." Does that make sense? The belief you put in place at that given moment has now gone on to become something you use to define you, whether you don't like it or don't mind it. So the key here is to change the beliefs that we once put in place. I emphasize change because regardless of if what the teacher told you was uncalled for, you ultimately made the decision to attach that belief to what she said, whether you did it subconsciously or consciously. And in most cases, it's subconsciously. One thing I want you to know is that you write your narrative. And if you don't like the way it is right now, go back and rewrite it. Friends, I could talk about this all day long. But for now, I'm going to stop it at those 6 tips to kind of get your mind thinking and to give you something to reference back that's not a million minutes long. If you would like a sequel to this video and or podcast, and you want to hear more of the things that I've learned, plus much more content about my eating disorder and just some of my journey and my challenges and how I've overcame them, I am here to give you that, should you decide. My camera's about to die right now, but if you guys enjoyed this video today, please destroy that like button, annihilate that subscribe button. Let me know in the comments down below. I cannot wait to edit this video and get it for you guys. I hope that you enjoyed it. And with a heavy heart, I say that I miss you already, and I'll catch you guys soon.